Hey everybody, it's Danielle Kelley, D Kelley 21 with 36 Degrees with Wave 94 FM in Tallahassee. I'm here with my co-host, James Coleman, Big Game James 36, and we are talking to the legend, the greatest of all time in Florida State, Coach Bobby Bowden. We got to visit with him last year before the season started. James was on the phone that time though, so this time's kind of special because get to be in person with him. So
yeah, I had to come on because the other thing too, I got to get this picture because everybody else is getting the picture in front of. This is becoming iconic. Whatever this thing is, I hope you're getting the cut because I seen Dugans have it, and we have to do a counteracting picture of what you did with Coach Stroud. He tossed up to you with Coach Stroud. We gotta do something else.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And Todd is I always had to explain. Todd is a former dope boy. He's a good guy, and it's always a good time to get a chance to talk with the guy who started everything. To not only be able to give us a perspective on the state of the program, but even let us know how we even got here. Without Coach Bowden, guys like myself, a guy from the south side of Tallahassee who probably never thought he would be in this position, wouldn't even be here. And I'm on the low end of the totem poles. But your Peter Wargs, your Snoop Menaces, your Charlie Wards, the list goes on and on. All came from this guy and what he did for college football and what he's done for so many young men, and also young women based upon our interaction with them over the years. Coach, when you came from West Virginia, could you ever see that Florida State would be considered one of the top programs, one of the premier programs in college football?
No, I didn't. I didn't think of it that way. I had been an assistant coach at Florida State 10 years before. Then I go to West Virginia and I stay 10 years. And then Florida State called me about coming back down there. At first, I wasn't interested at all. If you remember, Florida State was going through difficult times. They wasn't winning any ball games. We were winning some up at West Virginia, Then I had 4 children in school at West Virginia University. I didn't want to leave them. So really, we didn't decide till the last moment. It was kind of like, let's go home. Let's go home, Because Ann and I are both from Alabama. We coached in Georgia. We coached in Florida. And so we decided to go down. And I did not go with the idea of staying. I'll go down to Florida State, renew my acquaintances, and go back over to Alabama where I'm from. That's what I thought. But because of guys like you, we started winning so much, I decided to just stay here.
So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me Florida State, before you came here, and I go, this is a dumb question and people are going to be, but Florida State wasn't what it is now, where kids, the logo recruits itself. When you came down here?
No, when I took the job, the previous 3 years, they were 0-11, 1-10, 3-8.
Oh.
That'll get you fired every time.
Yeah.
That'll get you fired every time. So and they were even considering dropping football because they were in the red about $500,000 with football. You know what? But anyway, they stayed with it, and we were blessed getting good players.
Wow, that's a heck of a history lesson right there. A lot of similarities, a lot of things that we're seeing right now. The program wasn't quite where it was when you left it, or when even when the previous coach, he had got it up here, Coach Fisher, and it dropped off a little bit in the red, a lot of different things coming on. Again, sometimes to understand the future and where you're going, it's important to look back at the past, not so distant past, and get the understanding of it. So when you first got here, what were some of the things that you noticed in the program and the things that you felt like this is what we need to do in order to win, so that you could go to Alabama, so that you could go to somewhere else?
That's right. Well, people have to remember, my first year that I came to Florida State, we didn't win. We won 5 games and we lost 6. We didn't go to a bowl. We just didn't. We got it started the right direction, And so I really went through the same thing his first year at Florida State, Now our second year we went to a bowl and won it and won 10 games and got nationally ranked. And I don't know how soon Willie can get that done, but I would imagine we're going to see improvement this year. and then you hope it continues this improvement till he gets it back like he wants it.
So you said one of the things you were talking about is you got to try to win the boys over, and you want to take strides and have things go in the right direction. What were some of the things that you kind of encountered, if you can remember, what your first year about some things you had to implement to be able to get them to understand what your expectations were and how to win the Bowden way?
Well, I can remember some of the things I told them in 1976 when I came. The first meeting I had. I'm here, and all those players are sitting out there, all 100 of them, looking at me, wondering what I'm going to say. And I got the point across to them. I said, listen, you guys have been losing. I've been winning where I am, and we're going to win here. But you're going to have to do it my way. And if you're not, it's going to be the highway, right. And so the first thing you got to do is get their attention and be sure they support you. Some of them didn't. And they left, But the ones that stayed were the ones that were committed. Then of course the next year you go recruit your own boys. Then it begins to fit in,
Coach Taggart honestly referenced that in an article I read where he talked about how some players had we didn't do it this way before, I don't want to do it now, because he was implementing a new offense when we were going from pro style.
That's what you're facing with. When you take over a job, if it's your first year, that means all of those players you didn't recruit, somebody else recruited them. They might have been very happy with the previous coach and like the style. You know what? Then you come in and change, and a lot of them can't buy that. They don't like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what you go through your first year.
Yeah.
You're really lucky if you win your first year. Be honest with you.
Wise words.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean. Yeah, lucky is an understatement because it was a little rough this past season. But what was it like when you came in and you wanted to get your type of play? What is a coach? I know what I am, and obviously things change. But what did a Coach Bowden type of player look like then, and even in the heyday? I'm pretty sure very few things changed.
Yeah,
body type.
Well, the big thing, I kind of base recruiting on two things. I want boys that can tackle. I want boys that can tackle, and I want speed. I want speed and hitters. Speed and hitters. And that's what our teams were made of. You were one of the best we had at fullback. You know what? We had those good athletes like you mentioned, Charlotte. Now they can't do it without blocking.
Nah.
They cannot do it without blocking. We got good blocking from people like you.
Actually, funny story. My sophomore year, remember that we went down to Florida. Florida took the lead. Florida decided they wanted to fight twice.
Yeah.
They wanted to fight in the football game. They wanted to take 2 losses.
Yeah.
So they decided after they wanted to get some extracurriculars, and we were willing to do that. Some guys, I was too tired. Some guys were willing to do it too, and I missed the block. And Billy Sexton, I love Billy. Billy yelled at me a lot in the first 2 years. Didn't yell at me as much my last 2 years. But my first 2 years, he yelled at me a lot. And he said some things that I can't repeat. But I wove down there, I'm dejected. I sit on the bench. You come over there, and you tell me, he's like, listen, Coleman, this is what I need you to do. You see those guys over there with the blue jerseys? I want you to run as fast as you can. And I want you to hit one of those guys with the blue jerseys. And son, then you're going to block somebody, and that's all we need you to do. And he walked away from me. All I could do was laugh. It was just very simple. It wasn't quite what Coach Sexton said, but you came over there, you definitely picked me up and coached me up good enough to be able to go out and do what I needed.
And you did it. And you did.
You made that.
He was a hitter. He wasn't a sissy. I mean, he played. Well, he played about 250 as a fullback. And he came in and just made the team with a lot of hard work and dedication. And I'm rather proud of what he did at Florida State.
Yep.
I definitely appreciate it. So coming through, you got your guys in. Talk about that those early recruiting classes and how they helped build the foundation to where obviously to where we got to the year we went 15 straight top 5 finishes.
Yeah, usually when you go into a job, it's like this. You need a 5-year contract. First year you're not going to do good because your first year you didn't recruit, somebody else did. So that year is kind of a wash. Yeah. Now the next year should be your best recruiting year. Now you're getting your guys in there, and then 4 years later you better be winning. Mm-hmm. If you don't, we're going to have to get somebody else. Yeah. That's about the way it was. And my first year we still were able to get some good kids. But the best player we signed my second year recruiting was Ron Simmons from Warner Robins, Georgia. I mean, buddy, he was all man. You know what? Everybody in the country wanted Ron Simmons. And the fact that he was in Georgia, you don't usually get him out of Georgia. Mm-hmm. Georgia's going to get all them, Georgia and Georgia Tech. But we got him to come to Florida State because he worked for a guy that used to play for me. That was the key there,
Okay.
And he came down and took our defense the year before, had probably been in the probably about, if there's 120 teams, they were probably about 115. The next year, I think we were 10th in the nation defensively. Put him at nose guard, and he made All-American. He was freshman of the year, But we began to get the good players, like Paul Porowski and some of those guys. And from then on, we recruited good. The success that Alabama's having now, we had that during the 90s. We won 2 national championships. We won a conference championship every year, and we were recruiting better than everybody else.
We might bounce all around the place with some things, but that you just brought up something I really want to talk. If the college football playoff had probably been around during your heyday years, probably how many national championships would FSU at least play in? We'd have
had a chance because we were in the top 4 for really 15 years. They keep saying top 5, but that we were in the top 4 with one poll. But add the coaches poll in, we were at top 4 for 15 years. Or 14 years, excuse me. And that means today you would be in the playoff. Mm-hmm. Now, if we'd have been in 14 playoffs, how would we have done? I don't know. We played for 5 national championships and won 2. Now, if you could have played for 14, how many would you won? I don't know. It'd been interesting.
I want to, Coach. I want to take you back. I know we're going to bounce all around to what you said. You said something last year at the end of the interview, and I've been playing it all year and saying, "Listen to Coach." Yeah. We were talking about Coach Taggart's new offense, and you made the point. You talked about the '99 team and how you had all the key positions filled, from kicker to offensive line, and we went wire to wire.
Yeah.
And you said, basically, you said, all 5-star. You can have 5-star running backs. You can have 5-star wide receivers. Without an offensive line, they all look the same.
That's right.
And so, one thing I've noticed with the 2019 class and 2020 is seeing those holes that we need to recruit on offensive tackles and linebackers and stuff like that. And did you notice that your first year that there were holes in the program, like in certain positions?
Well, yeah. See, when you recruit every year, you take the present team, and you say, "Oh, we got to have more tackles. We got to have some more ends. We don't need but one quarterback. We need 2 running backs, and we do that." And that's what we go after. We set a quota, Mm-hmm. And now we're not going to turn out a great player. Well, I don't care what he plays, we're going to take him. But that's what you do. You gotta know who you're losing and what are you going to replace them with, and that comes into recruiting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how did not necessarily the dynasty? We had this thing called I guess we were called the Road Warriors for a while. And was that something strategic to be able to get the voters to continue to vote, or be able to use it for recruiting, or what went into the anytime, anybody, anywhere type of philosophy that you took? Because that doesn't happen right now. Ain't nobody just scheduling. Because you're seeing UCF kind of go through some of those issues right now.
No, you're exactly right. When I came here, remember, I didn't make the schedule. The schedules were made nearly 10 years ahead. Okay. Just like right now, we probably schedule for 10 years ahead, most games, see. And so when I came here, here's what we adopted. We had LSU 5 games away, no return. We had Nebraska 4 games away, no return. We had Notre Dame 1 game away, no return. We had Ohio State 2 away, no return. We had Michigan 2 away, no return. We had Arizona State 3 away, no return. See, nobody would come to here because we couldn't pay them. We was losing money, you know. So they're going to play us at their place where they can beat us, you know. Now, so we had those. I didn't. Somebody said, "Boy, you really picked a tough schedule." No, I didn't. I inherited those.
So you mean to tell me? So these guys thought that they were getting a duck. They thought they were getting like a 1AA team, and then you just kind of slid up under and said, surprise. Now we're going to punch in your mouth.
You know how scheduling is. You can't play everybody that's great. You ain't going to win many games. You've got to have a couple on there that you can beat. You know you can beat. You know it. And so all those teams scheduled Florida State because they knew they could beat Florida State because Florida State was losing all their games back then, you know.
That's funny. That's hilarious. So people thinking that they're going to they're thinking they're walking into a cupcake and they're walking into a dog.
You know, I think we won, out of those 17 games, I think we won 14 of them. So it ended up putting us on the map.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I remember because though I'm from Tallahassee, my family was from the Northeast.
Yeah.
So the things that I remember were watching the Florida State games, like at Thanksgiving or one of those things. When I'm watching them, the FSU Miami, because that was the only two schools I was thinking about going to. It was FSU or Miami.
Yeah.
I told those guys at Florida, I told Ron Zook, I was like, he actually came to Florida High when Florida High was on FSU's campus.
I'll be on.
And I told him, sir, all due respect, there's no way in hell I'm going to the University of Florida. So you might as well just stop it. There's no need to talk to my mom. My mama will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but just that attitude of going anywhere, and you recruited players who we all came from similar backgrounds and didn't mind a fight, especially on the field. What that looked like it was so different from the way people were recruiting. I know you said you like guys that can hit and that can run.
Yeah.
What made you go like a complete 180 from what the Nebraska model was? What looked like you get the big guys that could just try to outmuscle people. What made you decide that that's the model that we want to adapt?
That's an easy answer. Speed. We were faster than everybody we played. In fact, the Nebraska Coach Osborne came down after we beat him in the bowl game. He came down and visited with us. We don't know what the heck we were doing because we beat them 4 times in bowls. You know, what in the world are y'all doing down here? And that's where he saw our speed. And so he went back to Nebraska, took some of those 250-pound linebackers out, got them little 190-pound guys that could fly to be linebackers. And you know, he won 3 out of the next 4 national championships.
So the style of play that Florida State made pretty much changed the entire landscape of college football. Because again, Nebraska was, for those people who aren't historians, Nebraska was the standard.
Yeah.
But then when Florida State, Miami a little bit, we'll give them a little bit, but much of Florida State, when we were doing what we were supposed to do, everybody started to adapt that. So what was, like, a lot of things have been said about this. We were independent for a lot of those years, right?
Yep.
What went into the decision, or maybe, I know you didn't have much to do with it, but what was the thought process, or how did you change your philosophy when we went from independent to the ACC?
Well, yes, we were independent up until then. We were in the there was a conference.
But the Metro for
basketball. We were in the Metro Conference, but it was mostly basketball and other sports. And so at that time of the year, a lot of the independents, a lot of the major conferences were wanting to pick up some more teams. And so they wanted Miami, they wanted Florida State, they wanted, I think Georgia Tech was one, and South Carolina. We were all independents. And so we were offered an opportunity to join the ACC. We were also offered an opportunity to join the SEC. And a lot of people said, why didn't y'all join the SEC instead of the ACC? Well, I think most of our administration at Florida State had more of an ACC background than the SEC. And it was we were pretty all on the same page that we need to go to the ACC. Then they didn't want one team, they only wanted us. So we joined the ACC 1992. Won a national championship in 93. And so then later on, ACC took in, I think, University of Miami. And then, of course, SEC took in, he took in Texas. Yeah, Texas A&M and some of those schools out there.
Yeah.
But that's why we joined. That's why we joined the conference. Everybody was joining conferences back in those days.
Okay. And did you notice that when we took it by storm? So what were some of the feedback that you got from opposing coaches in the conference when we kind of came in and took the ACC over?
Yeah, there was a reason that the ACC wanted Florida State. ACC had great basketball, best in the country. Florida State didn't have very good basketball. We had great football, ACC didn't. So they felt like if they get Florida State in there, our presence would build up their football. Their presence would build up our basketball. And that's exactly what's happened.
That is exactly.
Our basketball team pretty good right now.
Yep.
You know it. And then all the AC teams got better.
Right.
All of them got better. I think we went 72-2 until they got better. Then
everybody caught up.
Then this one knocked us off, and this one knocked us off. And you knew it was eventually going to happen.
Well, you knew whose fault it was, right? Huh? You knew whose fault it was, right? It's your fault for getting all these dang good coaches. Coach, obviously you birthed one.
Yeah.
If you didn't have Tommy, we'd be better. And if you didn't have Coach Amata, he went up to North Carolina State.
And he beat us. That's right. Now that's going to happen. If I can get by only losing one game a year, I can hang in there with that.
Did Clemson have to get so good, though?
Huh?
Why did Clemson have to get so good? Was that necessary? We're having to deal with them now. So.
Oh, boy.
So, actually, that's something else. As much as being made about Nick Saban and going up against his coaching tree, obviously good coaches produce other good coaches if you do it the right way.
Yep.
And Saban, goes up against his guys, and he has a really good track record. What is it like? And I think we asked Coach Martin that. Coach Martin this past year was the first time he ever played against one of the guys who came from his former players or former coaches. What is it like going up against somebody that you helped groom and you helped develop?
It's fun. It's fun. I had to play against my son. I had to play against.
Now, did Miss Ann tell you to take it easy on Tommy, or did you send us into a buzzsaw?
Hey, I had the credit card. She had to go with me. First game we played with Clemson, she wore a shirt half orange, the other half Florida State. But we played Tommy. First 5 games, I think we won 4. The last 4 he won. No, the last 5 he won 4. I think we ended up. We played 9 times. I think we had 5 wins. They had 4. But he kept getting better. I had to drop him. I didn't want to keep playing him.
So some of the things, again, going into the coaches, some of the most iconic coaches in college football, especially from an assistant background, came from you. Before we go into some of those guys that I know a lot of people want to know about, because they hear me tell stories about the guys that coached me up.
Yeah.
What was a Bobby Bowden assistant like? What did you look for in hiring guys to come work for you and build the program?
Well, I wanted coaches that would set the example for the players. They would behave themselves and set an example for the boys. Then I wanted guys that had ambition. I wanted guys that wanted to be a head coach. Because if I knew they wanted to be a head coach, they're gonna work hard. They're gonna work hard to get that. And we had Chuck Amata and Gene McDowell and Mark Rick went out and became head coaches, and probably some others.
So actually, you hear that? So you gotta hire. You can't be afraid of guys who want to be able to aspire. Thus, see what coach.
And some coaches are. Some coaches, I'm not going to hire him because he's too good. I'm not going to hire him because he might want my job. Man, that's the kind of guy I wanted. I'd keep my job, but I want the best thing. I want somebody that wants to be the best. And that's what we got. And by golly, we won some games.
And that's kind of like what Coach
Tag
has done with Coach Bryles and Coach Clemens, guys who have aspirations.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Barnett, guys who have aspirations that they're going to continue to get better. And iron's going to sharpen iron.
Exactly.
So you brought up Coach Amata.
Yeah.
Coach Amata and Coach Andrews, or two of the guys I was talking about. Obviously,
Yeah.
Coach Rick went on to do some great things. You've had some really good offensive coordinators,
Yeah.
but every FSU fan knows who Coach Andrews is and Chucky the Chest. So what was it like coming to work every day knowing that you have these two pretty much animals when it comes to coaching up the defense?
Well, it's very important because if you'll notice when coaches go into a new job, they usually favor either offense or defense. I favored offense. That's what I'd always done. And so now, if that is true, the key is I must hire excellent defensive coaches that I can just turn it over to and leave them. You know what? And we were fortunate. We had Mickey Andrews and Chuck, along with Odell. Mm-hmm. We had three of the best defensive coaches in the country. You know, and I don't worry about a defense. I don't go ahead and work on offense. You know, I didn't run our offense, but I'd keep my eye on it and make a lot of suggestions and things like that.
Odell is such a beloved figure. Odell is pretty much, if you look up Seminole in the dictionary, Seminole football in the dictionary, you're probably going to see a picture of Odell.
It'd have his picture.
What was he like as a player?
He was he was a leader. He was a natural-born leader. He played down in middle Florida, and his coach was my center in college. His high school coach played with me in college, and that's probably one of the reasons we were able to get him. And that coach had told me about Odell. He said he is really a leader, and so he was a good player, but he's also a leader. So he was excellent to recruit. And did a great job at Florida State, and just think he's been here all that time as a player and as a coach for me and as a coach for Coach Taggart. Yeah, he's one of the most loyal young men you'll find.
Yeah, Odell's definitely fired. Odell called me when I got back from the DR on the plane, just like James. The season's going to be different. The guys are full of energy. They bought in. You should see a much different. I promise you'll see a much different product. Just stay positive, and let us do our thing on the field.
Oh yeah.
How important is it for fans to be positive, patient, but at the same time maybe a little critical because we have expectations, but how important is it to temper expectations and allow the process to play itself out?
It's very important that the fans stay behind the team. They need to stay behind Willie Taggart and give him time to let us see what he can do. In other words, first year is not fair. You know, if you go in there and win 10 games your first year, that's because the other guy left you some good players. If you go in there and don't do as well, it's because the other guy might not have left you as good of players as you're used to, you know. And then he starts recruiting and bringing his guys. Now, when he brings in his guys, give them time to mature. Then I'll judge Taggart. I'll be surprised if he doesn't succeed. I think he will succeed. He's intelligent. He's very likable. Got great personality. Good recruiter. You know what? Got a good staff. Mm-hmm. And I'll be shocked if they don't do pretty good this year. I don't expect him to win them all, right. You know, but I expect him to really show some improvement this year.
I mean, if you look at the recruiting class right now, the last two,
yeah,
these are the first guys that have ever, pretty much in their generation, have seen Florida State struggle.
Yeah.
And they made a choice to come to Florida State.
Yep.
It's a difference. They didn't
That's
come
right.
to Florida State because Florida State was on top.
No.
They came to Florida State, seeing Florida State go 5-7.
Yep.
So those are the type of players that you want, and these are still pretty high-ranked recruiting classes.
Yeah.
If you look at one of the guys he did go get, like you're saying, you know, they let him have his guys. There was a 3-star wide receiver over in Pensacola that he heard about. Only had an offer from Kent State. His name's Keyshawn Helton. And Coach Taggart went over there and watched him and recruited him, and he came here, and last year he was leading a lot of stats. And he reminds me of the kind of player you recruited because he's such a leader on the. He's the only touchdown we scored against Clemson. He scored it, and he came over to Coach Taggart after and thanked him for the opportunity. He's humble and hungry.
You know, I've watched their recruiting and I've watched them build. I can tell you what the key is next year: offensive, defensive line. Mm-hmm. If you just like we were talking about, if you can't do it up front, you can't do it. Remember, like you and I said last year, all runners look the same without blocking.
All of them.
You know, so I think the team. I mean, I've watched his kids, and he's signed good skill. I think his quarterback situation has really gotten good all of a sudden. You know what? Now if they can block, or defense, if they can stop the run, you know what? And that'll be the key now. And he's got a chance for that to happen. If it doesn't happen, he's got to get them linemen next year. You got to get them.
Right. That's important. That's something that we looked at last year, didn't do. Something that also got a little bit neglected toward the end of Jimbo's tenure. We went, most programs, when you look at Alabama, when you look at Clemson, even Texas A&M, where Jimbo ended up going, they're recruiting on average 4 to 5 offensive linemen, whether they're a 5-star, whether they're a 3-star. They're going to bring in 4 to 5 every year. And we went to where we were having classes where we only had 1, maybe 2. So when you have ingy,
you got to have
attrition,
numbers.
Yeah, you got to have.
You got to have numbers. I mean, that's like I was talking about. We always set how many we wanted. So we might need 5 tackles. We might need 2 centers. We might need 1 receiver, you know, and that's what they. I'm sure he's. I guarantee you, he's smart enough to know that, and he's trying to get it averaged out.
Right, they're doing a good job too, especially in this 2020 class of finding diamonds in the rough and still being in on some of the top prospects.
Right.
Let's go. I want to talk about. Just actually, one of my favorite things. I hated it when I was a player. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But right now, I believe it's one of the best things that we could have done. I also think it's the secret sauce. When did mat drills start? And what was the thought process behind mat drills? And how important do you think it was?
Well, I did the mat drills when I was at West Virginia University. Then when I came down here, we put it in here immediately.
I can't believe they liked it very much.
No, you know what? We tried to make it so tough that only the tough guys could handle it. Only the tough guys.
I tell people that.
You know,
don't understand how hard it is. I judge life.
It was harder than anything we did.
Yeah.
It was really harder than anything we did. But the boys who could do it and stay with it, they became disciplined and they became physical like you wanted. And we tried to make it, as coaches, we tried to make it as tough as we could to be sure about it. You teach your boys to pay the price. You know, you don't have time a lot of times during football season. You're so busy putting in plays and trying to get timing and all that. So, boy, during off-season program, no pads on, you know, but there's mats down on those floors, and you work them hard.
I judge life experiences on 1 to mat drills. So, like, if it ain't harder than mat drills, then I could more than likely I could do it. It's not. It ain't that bad.
He still talks about mat drills.
And I went through the I guess with the old heads like Pat Carter and those guys would tell me I went through the watered down version of mat drills, but it was still. I also told Pat I never saw you come back to come do the watered down version of mat drills either. So. So many characters, so many lively personalities, so many things. Actually, DBU, that's where I want to go. DBU is the big thing that's being brought up. Defensive Back University, and everybody wants to say, unfortunately, those guys down south of 75 believe they have a claim. Ohio State legitimately does recently.
Yeah.
But our DBU claim, everybody knows about Deion Sanders, but we could go back to, I believe, Bobby Butler.
Oh, yeah.
So where we have, can you just... why do you believe we've had such a good culture or an opportunity to breed DBs, even to the point where we have a guy who's a former walk-on who I believe is on the Carolina Panthers, who's going to probably end up being the third corner for them. Huh. What is it about Florida State, or more so during your time, that just bred great cornerbacks?
I think it's being in the state of Florida. If you want to live where they're good defensive backs, go to Florida. Boy, they're a dime a dozen down here. You know what? We got good ones. Miami's got good ones. Florida's got good ones, and everybody else comes out here and gets them too. You know, but there's just plenty of defensive backs in this state, and we were there. All we wanted was a share. You ain't gonna get them all, but just get your share. You know, and we usually got our share back in those days, and he's. I think he's getting his share.
Oh yeah.
I'm impressed with his DBs.
Yeah, especially in this last 2019 class, you got Travis J, young man from Madison County.
Yeah.
Akeem Dent from out of Palm Beach, and then a kid Brandon Gant from out of Polk County, where Odell and them are from. Jarvis Brownlee, a young guy who's probably underranked from out of Miami, Carroll City area, I believe.
Got the kid out of Oregon too, didn't he? He bring somebody with him pretty doggone good. Washington, either Oregon.
Was it? But that was the wide receiver. That came from.
It was a wide receiver.
That was in that first class.
Oh, yeah.
But he was committed to him. I believe he was committed to him at Oregon. No, Isaiah Bowden from out of Tampa was committed to him at Oregon, and he was in that. He was in that first class.
That's who it was.
Yes, sir. And he's good. They got some good young guys out
there. Good ones.
That have that swag, along with guys like Stanford Samuels, the third, whose daddy was a damn good ball player. Yeah. Probably the biggest. Like, I thought he killed Roscoe Parrish.
My word.
Pouring down raining. He was wet. He hit him. Roscoe was dry after the hit, and then he hit the water, got wet again. I still haven't seen anything like that. We've also had a really good run with running backs. But everybody knows, obviously Dalvin Cook was the one that just came out, was really good, and everybody knows about Warrick Dunn. And a lot of it could be contributed to having that consistency. What was like? I know him as a coach, and I think he was crazy. What was Billy Sexton like as an assistant?
Billy was a hard worker and was very persistent. I nicknamed him Persistent. He'd get on you and he'd stay on you. He'd get on you and stay on you until you did it the way he wanted it done. And his recruiting was the same way. He recruited a lot of great backs here at Florida State. And he would go out and get after them, and everybody in the country be trying to get them, and he'd stay right on them, go out and live with them if he had to, to get them to come to Florida State. And but if you were describing Billy Sexton as a coach, you would say persistent. He's very persistent.
You had one back it was the first Seminole player I'll ever remember, because I was down on the sidelines when my dad was working for FHP down there with you. Dexter Carter. I always remember Dexter Carter.
He was something.
He really was.
Dexter was something.
And that is also because you went and I know I saw a video one time where you were talking about he was smaller than the rest, but he worked 8 times as hard and got it done.
He never Dexter Carter never weighed over 165 while he was here. Might have got to 70. And he went first round with the 49ers. He was drafted in the first round. Boy, and he played with I think he's gotten 1 or 2 national championship rings. Being with the right club. He was a great example of a little guy.
Yeah, and you got him out of Georgia. How important is it, Coach? Because I know some people have said that on our show, that we need to get back in the Peach State and recruit in Georgia more.
With a lot of good players in Georgia now. Georgia, here they are, the #1 state in the nation in putting out 1A football players, California, because they got twice the population everybody has. Texas, Florida, then I think it's Georgia. I believe it's Georgia's next, because they had great players in Georgia. Louisiana's got great players, But Florida, we're lucky. The state of Florida. If you can get the best kids out of Florida, you're gonna win. You play them out in the country.
I think Florida, the stats are so crazy. We don't have as many, like you were saying, that play. But I think it's 1 out of every 10 eligible football players goes FBS. So big time Division I football. That's a lot. That means pretty much everybody can bump into somebody and they're playing, and they're gonna go play some big time ball.
Yeah, exactly.
The Big Bend area. I remember growing up playing with guys like Sam McGrew, Ernie Sims, Antonio Cromartie, Pat Watkins. It's a lot of guys just anywhere. It's pockets, but you can go almost anywhere and find what you need to find in the state of Florida. So, what is it like being a dad? I got 2 boys. That's important to me. I have a daughter too, but my 2 boys, and I like coaching them.
How old are they?
I got Killers is 10 months, and then Trey is 6. Trey is 6. Yeah, he's gotten into football. He for some reason we gotta keep you around because he's seen this picture, and he believes that one day he's gonna play for Coach Bowden too. And I said, so I'm like, I was like, we'll see if we can get him. We can see if we can get him off the golf course and see if he wants to come back and coach when you get of age. But what is it like being a dad and coaching? And you spend so much time with young men like myself, developing us, but you still have a family. And we talked with Coach Martin about this. Actually, you give us all some wisdom on how to balance that work and that family life.
Well, a lot of people don't understand it, but to a football coach, the players are like his son. It's like your son. Coach Bowden, how come you try to get that kid out? He's in trouble. Why do you try to protect him? Because he was my son. I want you to try to protect him. You know what? And so I tried to treat him like my son. Our coaches tried to treat our players like their son. And so we got 120 sons, But then, of course, you have your own children. And the same way with them. Try to be fair and be honest and teach them right from wrong. All the problems we got in our nation right now, all these killings that are going on and everything, it's bless their hearts. The kids, when they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they came from a broken home, or the daddy was missing, or something. And then they jump up to here, and they hadn't had that good fundamental of what's right and what's wrong. Then a lot of them will turn to what's wrong, And so the breakup of the family in America has probably been one of our biggest downfalls right now.
Definitely. So, 96 class. Ron Dugans, coach, Peter Ward. Was Trouble in Laverne Coles in 96? I can't say. Laverne Coles, was he in that 96 class too?
He would have been whenever.
Same as Peter?
Yeah, with Warwick, yeah. We had Warwick, him, and the kid from West Virginia that made All-American, the wide receiver.
Yeah, Randy Moss. Randy,
all three of them at one time.
Randy Moss is going on the internet and saying that I'm Florida. I'm Florida State.
Yeah, that's
Florida State is so good. How talented? What practices had to be crazy. Mickey had to be hot with those guys, those 4 guys.
Oh yeah, it's shame we lost him. But we still had some good ones, thank goodness.
No doubt. Peter Ward, definitely. Those were, because I went to school with Peter Ward. I graduated with him, so yeah.
So, out of the rivalries, that's a couple. One, I asked a couple people. I know you coached it with your son. Is Clemson a real rival of Florida State?
Yeah, they are now. Yeah. I know when we joined the conference, I made the statement. I said, now then, you'll see rivalries happen. Why? Because you play them every year.
Right.
You play Florida, great rivalry, play them every year. Miami, great rivalry, play every year. Name somebody else now. We don't play them once every 10 years. But when we join the conference, that means if you're going to play in a conference, you have to schedule 8 conference games a year. So you play them over and over and over and over. And they become rivals. And right now, the biggest rival is Florida's is Clemson. And it was Miami. It was us and Clemson there for a while. And we got to get built back up to that, and still where we can challenge them, because they're on top by themselves right now.
Right.
Well, speaking of playing your rival every year, that's one thing I've always sung your praises. You played Florida and Miami every single year when they would not play each other.
and I used to really gripe about that.
Yes.
Because here's what happened, Art. We play Florida, Miami every year. Miami don't play Florida. Florida don't play Miami. Now they're gonna play this year, but it's first time in years, And there was one time. Did you know there was one time, you probably remember, where Florida State, and Miami were 1, 2, 3 in the nation? and I got to play them.
And they don't have to play each other.
I used to drive my. I said, "Dadgummit, I have to play both of them." And many times Florida would be number one in the nation. Then many times Miami would be number one in the nation. You know, and then they wouldn't play each other. So I used to joke about that, really, but it wasn't fair.
That wasn't fair at all. I remember that. Oh, I used to be so mad they didn't have to play each other.
There were many times where the winner of the Miami game won the national championship.
Amen.
And then the winner of the Florida State game won the national championship. You know, one year we beat them and won it, and then the one year they beat us and won it.
You remember that? Well, the Choke It Dope, the famous game where we came back and tied them.
Yeah.
And then we ended up playing in the Sugar Bowl that year.
And beat them.
And beat them. I remember that.
And the next time we played them in the Sugar Bowl, and they beat us.
How did that game feel, Coach? I have always wanted to ask you that question because I was there. It was insane.
The game where they won the national championship.
The Choke It Dope where we came back and tied them.
That was, you know what? That would probably be one of my favorite out of 57 years of coaching. That would be right up the top 2 or 3. Because it was so high. And we were down 31-3 with 10 minutes to go.
And then Slade came back.
That was something. Were you here then?
No, sir.
That's before you.
That was before me. I watched that on TV.
That was something.
I like to rid people about that. But then they get back at me and they say, well, we won it when it mattered.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard the stadium that loud. And the funny thing is it was that loud and people had left. Because they thought we were done.
Oh, sure.
But it was so loud, you'd have thought every seat was packed because we were screaming so loud.
A lot of them heard the game out in the cars on the way leaving.
My friend told me he regrets that to this day.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to my car all the way down. He's like, and I could hear screaming in the stadium.
Yeah.
He's like, and I finally got to a TV and I was like, why did I leave?
That's something. That was something.
That was something.
So put it all together, what do you think, like just from what you've seen, what would your expectations be for the 2019 season, or what are some things that you believe that Florida State needs to be able to show just from a coaching's perspective?
This year?
Yes, sir.
That they don't repeat their mistakes. You know, to me, coaching was one thing. If a kid makes an error, don't let him make it twice. Don't let him make it twice. You know, you get it corrected. And I think last year I saw too much mistake and then make it again and make it again, you know. And I think he'll do that. I think he's got another spring training under his belt,
right.
You know. And so he sees that as well as I do, you know. And they just cut your dadgum mistakes out. That's football.
Cut your mistakes out. You'll see a lot. You see, at least that's good for a couple more wins right there by itself.
Well, it really is. I mean, you know, don't quit jumping off sides or you did this instead of that. Why did you do that? You know, and the kid can't even answer you why. You know, so get your mistakes corrected and you get better. You'll improve.
Appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it,
Y'all gonna spend the night or something?
You know what?
Is your folks still here?
Yes, sir.
So you get to visit with them?
Yeah, I'm gonna go stop by, see my grandmother, go see my mom before I get back to Jacksonville. Yeah, definitely, man. And she still remembers all the games and everybody being very nice to her and all those things like that.
That's great. That is so great.
And just one of the best times I remember when it got a chance to come. When you came to Jacksonville, got a chance. Me and Monster, Bradley Jennings, for people who don't know who that is. We got a chance to come see the practice. So definitely appreciate you letting us come out.
That's good.
And it'd be good. Next time I have to bring my boys over.
Yeah, I want to see them. I want to see them. Next time you're over this way, bring them back.
I'm going to Jacksonville for this game, and I will confess, the last game I saw in Jacksonville at that field was you beating Nick Saban. I will never forget that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I will never forget that game.
And that's something.
It was